The UEFA Nations League group stage is over, and next will be the draw for the European qualifiers for the World Cup 2026 in the USA, Canada, and Mexico, which will take place in less than a week. And the UEFA Nations League has seen a very big upset in San Marino, not only grabbing their first competitive win ever and tripling their amount of wins overall in their entire team's history, but they've also won their group. They will be promoted to League C, and as they are group winners, many people have claimed there's a chance of San Marino qualifying for the playoffs for World Cup 2026. So in this video, I'm going to show you how big that chance really is. Is it a realistic chance? We're going to find out. Of course, we will have to take a look at how the playoffs will take place, or how the entire qualification process works, and in a very quick way. So we have 12 groups in total, 6 groups of 4, 6 groups of 5. I'm not going to go into detail with how that works because it's being played parallel to the UEFA Nations League playoffs and the finals and everything like that. But what you need to know is, out of those 12 groups, the 12 winners qualify directly for the World Cup, and the 12 runners-up qualify directly for the playoffs, which will see 16 teams, and 4 more of those 16 teams will qualify for World Cup 2026. So you have these 16 teams, you have 12 from the European qualifiers groups. Those are all that finished second, and the 4 additional teams come from the Nations League, solely based on the Nations League table. So it doesn't matter what place you finished in your European qualifiers group, whether it be 3rd or 4th or 5th, doesn't matter. All of those teams that finished 3rd to 5th are in the running, theoretically, or rather all teams that qualified or that won their group in the Nations League are in the running, because the Nations League group winners are put in order, and the 4 spots are allocated to those teams which have not yet qualified. It is theoretically possible that other teams will qualify, but that doesn't matter for this video today, because we want to be taking a look at San Marino, which are, you see the pots from 1 to 3 and then 5, because 4 won't matter for this video. These are the pots for the draw, which has not taken place yet, but we can analyze the groups now, or the pots now, and see how much of a chance San Marino has. So they're in pot 5, but what matters is their position in the group winners ranking. So we go from A to B to C, and we have all the group winners in order, so those are 100% of the playoffs. But I think those 4 teams, for example, they will all qualify directly. They will probably win their groups. And if they don't win their groups, they will almost certainly finish second in their groups. So their spots will be given going over to League B, and then League C, and then League D, and finally San Marino. And Moldova, of course, having an even larger chance. And for them, it would also be a great upset, but of course, San Marino is the big story here, so we're going to focus on them. So we can take a look at where those teams are in the pots, because the pots, you see, this ranking is not equal to this ranking. This is the Nations League ranking, and this over here is the world ranking, the FIFA world ranking, because it's a FIFA competition you're trying to qualify for. And what that means is that they're not ordered by Nations League, so these 4 teams, they don't have to be in the same pot, they can be in different pots, and there can be more teams in the higher pots, which means there's more of a chance of those teams qualifying, of many teams qualifying. And you see, San Marino need not more than 3 teams that are above them to qualify. So let's say these teams all qualify, they would need 2 teams from this port from, or from, not port, from League C to also qualify, so finish first or second, then there would only be four spots remaining, two going to two of those teams and two going to Moldova and San Marino. So where are those teams placed in the pots? You have, of course, the League A teams all placed in pot 1, but in England they are a runner-up from League B. Placed in pot 1 will almost certainly go, at least if you look at the teams in pot 3, there are some possible tough draws, but England will at least finish second, which honestly would also already be pretty bad for them. But they will finish second probably. Now all of those teams in pot 2, they're expected to finish second. They don't have to finish second, but of course, a team from pot 3 can also finish second or first. What matters is the probability or how those teams are allocated. And we see Norway, Czech Republic, for example. These are group winners. This is very good for San Marino. They are in pot 2 very closely. So they will have an easier time getting to one of the top 2 spots. So you would think that all the League C group winners, they're pretty low in the overall Nations League ranking. If you ordered it after the Nations League ranking, they will probably be in pot 3 at least. In that case, pot 3, yeah, because you have a bigger amount of groups. But if you look at the FIFA World Ranking, you will see Sweden here, you will see Romania here, which are both in pot 2 for the group draw. So as you can see, you have those two, of course, in pot 5, but you have only 2 teams in pot 3. So if all kind of goes in order, let's say all of those teams finish first, all of those teams finish second, San Marino would go to the playoffs, because then you would have North Macedonia, Northern Ireland, Moldova and San Marino. Now, of course, one of the pot 2 teams can fail. There are pretty good teams in pot 3 and also in pot 4 that can always put a stop to a campaign. However, it is entirely possible that North Macedonia or Northern Ireland could also finish second at the very least if they drawn, for example, with Greece or Slovakia, with those teams that are not in the running as a group winner. Because you need to keep in mind, if, for example, England, Czech Republic and Northern Ireland all end up in one group, Northern Ireland finishes ahead of the Czech Republic, this won't matter for San Marino, because then the Czech Republic would of course take the spot. So those teams, those pot 3 teams qualifying, only helps if they don't push another group winner out of their spot. So San Marino would need to hope, we don't have to draw it, that for example North Macedonia gets drawn in the group with like Hungary, Serbia, Poland, all of those teams that are not down here. So none of those 5. I don't think the pot 1 teams won't matter. And I think of those 5, at least 3 will qualify. If it's all 5, we will have San Marino in the playoffs. They will probably not have a chance, because those are much stronger teams, but would be probably a once in a lifetime opportunity, and it would be pretty amazing. So without knowing the groups, we know it's actually pretty likely. I would give it like a 60% chance. Moldova, I think, has a much higher chance. I would put a chance at about 75 to 80%, because they really don't need to care if like Romania or Sweden finishes well. They don't need a lot of upsets to happen. Or actually, not even San Marino. San Marino does not need any upsets to happen. Theoretically, of course, some of those teams in pot 3 might be a bit stronger than those in pot 2, but it all depends on the draw. But it wouldn't be a big surprise to have San Marino going into the playoffs, and I think that is already something very surprising. That's not a surprise. That is very much in the realm of possibility, not only, but also it's the more probable outcome. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I might do an analysis of the entire qualification process or the entire groups um, when they have been drawn. Today was only about San Marino really, so I hope you enjoyed that one and see you next time.